have a certain
So-
circumstance conservation easement. So that's what it is. Now, the project itself is fairly straightforward. This section, about 311 feet of pipe, sanitary sewer pipe, has to be replaced. And so therefore, we're replacing it, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes.
in kind, where we would be replacing it, but because of access, we're gonna use the access path from the Metro Center. And we'll also attack the end from Kennard Street. We're gonna try to use a lot of the Kennard Street right of way for a stockpile area. And so we're just really here to go over with the conservation easement to get your blessing that we'd be able to replace this line.
All right,
So, feel free if you want to add anything.
So, yeah, so one of the reason is also we will be performing some temporary work like piling stockpiles that the contractor will be using this area besides just the replacement of the pipe. He will be also disturbing for bringing his heavy equipments, the equipments that they will be using to load and unload the pipe, maybe to temporarily place the pipe at the site. So this will be temporarily used for that as well. For access, they will not be bringing any trucks or any excavators in there. That will be used via Fairfield Metro, North Center. So that will not be used for bringing the trucks in or any kind of vehicles. So that access route is routed not via conservation easement. So we are presenting here for using it for stockpiling and also for replacement of the pipe that this section will be disturbed.
If I can just, and correct me again if I'm wrong, they'll have to obviously excavate out the pipe and put new in, but the machine, once it's here, it will stay here and just work along.
Okay.
It won't be, just in case it wasn't
Yeah.
clear, it was that we're not doing this every day going in and out, that and then they'll work their way along the line.
Is there a stream crossing as part of the excavation of the pipe? I can't tell.
Yeah, so technically, this is all the riprap, so the stream is over here and it's over here, so the pipe crosses over. This is a weir and this is where.
Right, but like right now, if they were to do the work now, there's no water from this wetland going over. So right now, it's basically a stone bridge that they're going over. What happens there is because of the excavation, they're hugging the one side. And so, Tim isn't here, Tim Bishop, the conservation director, had gone out in the field. And he had said that he'd rather see us work on towards the sound side rather than disturb the detention area and the created wetland or water pool area that's here. And so that's what they leaned more towards the south side of that. And if I recall the conservation, I mean, I have a copy of the deed, it's a 12-page deed. I think it said something about, again, it was the easement, it was a conservation area, but obviously we have a sanitary sewer over that. So we just wanted to, dot our i's and cross our t's and get your blessing, make you aware of the project and then go from there. Sure.
Bill, is it being replaced because of age? And will it be the same material pipe or is it a different material?
It's going to be, and Megan could have a better feel of it, but I believe it's a 33-inch pipe now. They're gonna make it a 36-inch pipe.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that would be for the development of the Metro Center, because they're anticipating
right.
additional flows there. And also to eliminate the SSOs, which is the sanitary sewer overflows, where if we get bombed with a lot of
Yeah,
rain,
yeah.
water and gray water can come out of the manholes. Well, now with this new pipe and additional capacity, I can't promise that it won't happen, but the chances of it reoccurring are gonna be a lot less.
So is it an iron pipe or is it plasticky?
I don't want to give you the wrong information. It's
Over here.
36 RCP, reinforced concrete pipe.
Concrete pipe, okay.
And you said there would be a storage area for the new RCP pipe and
Well, the stockpile area, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna try to use some of this right of way of Kennard Street. If you've driven down that street, it's not a very busy street. It's really the connector for Kenwood and, Ardmore. And, so we feel we can probably get maybe 5 or 10 feet of the pavement. And in some cases, even 15 feet of the pavement. And the little bit of right of way area that we have here, I believe there's a chain link fence along the property line. So between the roadway, we narrow the roadway down because it's not a very busy road. And go from there to the chain link fence and stockpile whatever stuff is there. They may have to add another fence. Unfortunately, this is not the most secure area. They may have to add a temporary fence to kind of fence things off, but we were hoping to use a lot of that as a stockpile area, or obviously areas that are, non-wetland and all that.
Okay.
And is that the area that you're talking about where you may have to move the construction easement boundary? Is that what you're talking about?
The construction easement, I think, is over here, and where we might have to shift it down a little bit to create that when they put the pipe, since it's reinforced concrete, it comes in 8-foot sections.
Okay.
And so let's just say they can do 32 feet a day or something like that. Then they would have like 4 sections of pipe, and then they start to put it in. So they may lay 4 sections. They won't lay all 300 at the same time. Not that I'm aware of. We haven't put it out to bid, obviously.
Okay.
And that would be the other thing that, one of the requirements if I'm assuming we get the inland wetland permit, there'll be a requirement that, the town has to have a kickoff meeting with conservation staff and the contractor to go over all these measures. And in the contract, it will have all the conservation, conditions.
Conditions.
Right, so they'll
So-
be fully aware of all that.
Right, for
Required.
tonight's purposes,
Right.
we are wearing our hat as
As
the Conservation Commission.
Right.
There's an easement in place, and the town is before us, letting us know and asking if they can do some work within an easement.
Right.
That's
We're-
essentially
we're-
what it is, yep.
Even though we know kind of what's gonna happen there, it's not really our job now to say what's gonna happen there. In a month or so, they're gonna come up in front of us when we wear our inland wetlands hat. Yeah, okay.
I think the schedule for
Okay,
September.
sorry, yeah, okay. So whenever that happens, then all of
Then,
these
okay.
questions can be done. So I thank you for the presentation.
Plus, it's also, and it gives you a little
Yeah.
bit of headway
Yeah.
of knowing rather than reading from scratch
Right.
and stuff. So we don't mind at all.
The one thing I saw that is, well, maybe, I don't know. I read somewhere in here that there was mitigation because of environmental, like, contamination. Is that something that happened?
All right, well, I was gonna bring that up.
Okay.
You guys brought it up because I didn't want to confuse anything. There is the environmental cap as part of that metro. Ironically, if I recall, it was all this area in the easement has been cleaned up already.
Okay,
The only area where
Okay.
it's around the manholes
okay.
that maybe they didn't want to damage
Damage
the manholes
manholes.
or whatever, they didn't put the cap in there.
So you
And
guys,
so the DNB
yep,
and the town
yeah,
are working with Lorero, who had done the original environmental, and by, I guess, law, the LEP,
Yep.
the licensed environmental professional, has to sign off on whenever, if we disturb it or if we
Wonderful.
extend the cap. So they are
Okay,
also.
so they're also involved.
Yes.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, that answers my question. Any further questions by any commissioners here?
No, good.
No? Anybody want to put a motion to approve the request for approval to construct and other activities within
Yeah.
the stewardship?
It's straightforward. I would,
Rick is motion.
yeah, I would motion.
Anybody second? Peter? Commissioner Hood seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay.
All right,
All right.
great.
But I should also say for the record, we do have a quorum here, 5 of us, and we're plenty.
Oh,
Yes, very
good.
Thank you, Bill. and Jay.
Right, and feel, again, we're working with Tom and Sarah on this, obviously, and our consultant. And if there are any questions that we can answer, by all means, don't be afraid to ask. And if we can't answer them, and that's where we had, we had the consultant on call, and we can always give a call and get.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Table, please.
Oh,
You have copies.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, excuse me though.
I have all there.
They're on the table. Yep. And plus, we also have maps and stuff in our inland wetlands permit. I just realized I have that too, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
We brought that down.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank
great.
you. Thank you, Barry.
All right,
Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jane.
all right. So is that connected? Okay.
I think
You
it
think-
looks like it is.
So I'll announce again before we move on. We had some technical difficulties starting this meeting. We are recording it on Commissioner Boucher's little snappy device here. And also, I think we finally connected to the actual access code dial-in phone number. So we should be all set. If anybody hears us and wants to ask any questions, please feel free to email them at the email conservation@fairfieldct.org. That's on the agenda. And so now we'll move on to Joy Shaw, water level monitoring in the Mill River. Shaw, please come on up and please feel free to sit down here just to get it,
Where would you like me?
wherever you can stand or sit, whatever is comfortable. I just
I
want
may
to,
have to sit.
yeah, please do then. And only because of this recording device for today.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. My name is Joyce Shaw. I live in Perry's Old Mill, 476 Old Mill Road on the Mill River. And what I wanted to do tonight is to bring the case of nature for you. Because I don't think that everybody here has had to have a course in ecology before you came to serve on this board. And so if I can fill in as much as I can, I hope that might be helpful. We've all been concerned, I'm sure some of you have too, as you've seen what's happening along the river. And the ponds and streams and all parts of the watershed are drying up. The river is at the lowest I've ever seen it in the 65 years I have lived in the middle. That is quite something to say. I don't think that people in general realize that the rivers are the main veins of our ecology, of our environment. They're the main drains and nourishers of their watersheds. And we have nothing but watersheds on the terrestrial earth. We all live in a watershed, some watershed somewhere. We all belong to some river somewhere. And these have the amount of water that is determined by the pressure coming from what meteorology has put into their watershed, how much soak-up area they have. And this pressure exists when there is a full river, and then when there is not enough water to keep the watershed moist and soaked up, then the river goes down. The animals and life that are in a river should astound everybody. I know there are some of you here that know it well, but it's not just the muskrat and the otter. It's not just the herons, the great blue and the egret and the other ones that visit, and the 7 different kinds of mini fish that form the base of the river. They're eating on the lower level of food. It's 30 different kinds of ducks that come up into a part of the river where they're safer from a storm when there's danger. There's just all kinds of life there, frogs, turtles, etc. You've got it. It is a teeming part of nature. But I see what we've done with nature all around, and I'm sure some of you too feel the same way. It makes you sick because it's all right to dam a river and keep some water for giving people what water they need to use. But when you come to pipe water out of that system, you are doing something against nature. That river knows how much water it needs for its life. Its life has been established in over hundreds of years of developing. And to go in and siphon water out of it is a sin against nature. So if we're allowing that, because of the situation we've got ourselves in our economy and our civilization, then we have to look very carefully at what we're doing. And be sure that we put up enough gauges. If there isn't enough gauging, we're having a gauge, or the gauges that we have, Lake Hills Society and down at the mouth of the river and on Duck Farm Road, then we should be sure that we cover the measurement of how much water is in the river and how much water should be in the river at all times. And the idea of taking water that is impure and putting it in headwater streams that are pure is obscene. I don't know how we can countenance such an idea. Manganese may not be your worst pollutant, but it's bad enough. And I don't think we should be allowing that to be a reserve of the company, of the aquarium company's idea of how they will replenish water if it gets down to a certain low level. I think that this whole idea is full of danger. I think that I wish the aquarium people could go out and talk with the people in California, learn what they've done to their rivers is affecting them. Because when you come to the end of your river and all you have in your hand is your dollars, how much good is your dollars going to do you when you've ruined your river, when you've taken your river out? You've ruined the value of your land. You've ruined the enjoyment of your land. You've ruined the whole ecology. You've taken out its central strand, its vein. This is precious. Rivers are precious. And we've got to keep that in mind. We didn't make this planet. We didn't make its systems. We can study them and learn about them, which they have at the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. Yes, there are wonderful people on our planet who have learned to appreciate nature and understand it. But when we just go and say, I need this, and this is what should happen, is available here, I should take it because I can make more money over here and I can take care of all these people. Well, that isn't the way it should go. The people should be taught how to conserve. The company should be making greatest effort to teach conservation of water and better use of it and coming up with everything they can. And you should put pressure on the water company to do that before you give them any right to do any water taking from the Mill River or any other river. What'll it be after Mill River? They can put that dry? They're going to go to another one? That's what's happening out in California. And it's a horrible lesson to have to learn. When you take your watershed down, when you take your watershed down, you take your river down. So I'm here to plead. Please keep nature in mind. We've trod over it too far. We're dealing with what we've done to the atmosphere and what it's now doing to all the patterns of weather that we used to live with. We don't live with reasonable patterns of weather anymore or situations. And you let that happen to Mill River, let it become a dry basin, and we will all be very, very, very sorry. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Okay. Now we're on to old business and it's a continued matter. 25 Southport Ridge, request for invasive removal, maintenance, and other activities within a conservation easement. Okay, sure.
Or Joel after this.
Oh.
I'll try my best.
All right. Hello.
Hi, nice to see some of you again. My name is Kelly Mathis. This is my second time here. So I was here in June, basically came up with the idea of there's a small open space in my cul-de-sac that has gotten a little overrun. And I just became interested in pursuing approval for a cleanup effort. So I quickly learned this is part of an easement. You have to go to this group, you have to present your case, see if it makes sense. So Tim guided me to come here. So just to summarize, I don't have any detailed plans yet. Like, okay, show me a draft of what you're looking to do. I have not gone that far, but what I wanted to do first is just focus on approval at this time. So I got some action items from the June meeting and I just wanted to circle back on all of them. So I was just going to list the 4, see if everyone's good, and then I'll go through the progress we've made so far. with Joel and his group, and Tim is aware of all this. He's on the emails. So action items from the June meeting. One, I referenced a lot that my HOA owns this land, so just come and make sure we can prove that. Two, prove who is actually in the HOAs, who it's comprised of. Three, most importantly, work with the nearby condo association. So a large condo building also faces this easement. So they have definitely interest in what we do to it. They don't want a lot done, of course. We're close to the highway, make sure we're not making any major changes. So number three was the biggest one, work with the condo association, which is the neighboring property, to determine agreed upon wording on what would make sense and how to move forward. And then number four, prove everyone on my HOA is on board. So that's the condo, or my HOA, not the condo association. Just make sure I'm just one person. Does everyone else on my block agree with what I'm doing here tonight? Any questions so far?
Can you say that last one?
Yes, prove that everyone in my HOA, in my cul-de-sac, is on board with this plan through signatures. At least that's how I did it. Okay, so I'm gonna go through all four, just what progress we've made working together since June. So prove the HOA actually owns it. I received tax documents from our HOA management company, and we also have the warranty deed, and both of those were provided to Tim. The management company of my HOA is called MTM Classic Home Builders out of Bridgeport, and our HOA is called Kings Highway West Owners Association. Those names are referenced in the documents I provided to Tim. That's number one. Any questions on that one? Okay, cool.
You said MGM Classic Home Builders and.
MT as in Tom, MTM Classic Home Builders, and then my HOA is called Kings Highway West Owners Association.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay, number two, prove who is in the HOA. I talked to MTM Classic Home Builders, again, that's a management company, and they keep an evergreen list of the names of the people who own the homes that are in the HOA. So it's a file that lists here are the properties that are in it, here are the current owners of those properties. So I provided that file to Tim as well. Number three, work with the condo association. This is the big one, for agreed upon wording on exactly what we're comfortable doing in the future. So I did work with them and we came up with finalized wording. I was going to read really quickly. It's like 3 sentences.
Okay.
Okay. So the approval requested for, as the owners of the 9 properties that make up the Kings Highway West Owners Association, Inc., we would like approval from the Conservation Commission to remove illegally deposited landscaping debris, other garbage material, and invasive species from the perimeter of the conservation area as needed to preserve the natural state of the property as woodland that provides critical natural habitat. And then I added this tidbit for my gang, providing a signature below does not include agreement to any financial remittance. I had a couple neighbors being like, do you want money from me? Like, what are we talking about? So just added that nobody on my block necessarily agreed to any money up front at this point. So that was agreed upon with both sides, the condo association and my HOA, and then submitted to Tim as well. And then number 4, approve everyone on my HOA side is on board with this concept. So I have the signatures showing that all HOA members agreed to this wording that was actually drawn up by the condo association, and I submitted that to Tim. So that's the 4. Again, just to close out, I don't have any detailed plans at this time, but I was hoping the understanding going forward would be that any future work would of course be required to stay within the bounds of this text. So keep in mind perimeter, the debris only, invasive species only, that type of thing. So just making sure we follow that going forward. And that would kind of be a locked document that we would have to follow for any future plans. Any questions for me?
Perimeter only, is that?
Yes, so I think the condo association, there was concern about like the center basin and not wanting to touch that. So I noticed one of the key changes when we had a previous version of this. I kind of stressed the word, I noticed the word perimeter as maybe it was probably a sticking point of let's make sure we get that in there. We're just working on the outside and that's kind of what we see anyway, right? That's the initial like, oh, this is starting to look a little yucky. So the perimeter makes sense with the group as well.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to, if you recall, I do remember a commissioner who was in here tonight, Dabney, who had said, you know, if a tree falls down, it might look yucky, but that's actually good for
Yes.
what's inside.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
So I think the perimeter language is important. Yes.
You know, and I think also Commissioner Fain was saying in the last meeting that removal of the invasive species, there has to be a planting plan because just removal, you're going to have you can create more of a problem.
Okay, right.
So that's the other issue is that, you know, even if it's just the perimeter, you know, unless there's a planting plan to put something in that place, you're going to have the same issues come back and
Okay.
that would be a concern.
Okay. If that makes sense. Sounds reasonable.
Kelly, I want to jump ahead a little bit. Is there a plan for removal? Who would do it? Who would pay for it?
So not at this time. It was funny at the last meeting, Tim was like, well, since this was, some of this debris was illegally dumped, we see landscapers come by that don't work in our area and kind of check things. He was like, we might be able to talk to you guys about, next steps. So there was nothing, agreed upon, but that would be my next step if I did get approval. I've asked him like, hey, remember that light comment you made? Do you have any guidance?
I walked it tonight and.
Oh, did you?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like not a big deal. I'm a working mom of two, so I just, it was a nice idea. Like I'd love to clean it, but I understand their opposing arguments.
Right.
So
So that answers the question of mine about where the debris was coming from. Because I've been sitting, looking at this and saying, I don't understand, the debris is being carried from your yards across. So what you're saying is it's strangers.
yeah, I mean,
I really
they're
was stuck on that.
yeah. Oh no, sorry. Yes, there are multiple landscaping companies. It could be each house doesn't have the same landscaping company, so we had a lot come through, and so you don't necessarily recognize all of them. And in the last meeting, someone had also mentioned maybe look into signage that just says no dumping. So that'd be a next step too. Is talking to Tim like, hey, how do I get a sign made, and what does that cost? So kind of the whole next step would be.
But you are talking, so you are talking about your landscapers in the HOA.
It would not be mine, but the HO.
That's really weird to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. There's 9 houses. We're all responsible to hire.
I get that. I just think it's strange that your own landscapers are carting stuff across.
It's a common practice, Peter.
I know it is.
On
but
dead
that's
end?
why I'm upset.
Yeah, and like a literal example I'm thinking of is like, I have seen a leaf blower. It will blow in that
Yeah,
direction,
right.
so I don't think they're doing any like, I'm gonna chuck some massive,
Gotcha.
pile of trees, but like, yes.
It is
dead
your
leaves are
practice,
blown
and
there.
that's why I was
Okay.
concerned.
And are you gonna somehow define perimeter?
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I think that kind of, what are you defining as a perimeter? I think that we kind of want to see what
I
that
think that's
means.
where we're kind of stuck, right? I know it costs money to do this, but a map with kind of a
Because
Sure.
the street.
Yeah.
Like that,
curb,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's already
That's,
what I would call manicured,
Yeah,
what, 12, 15 feet in,
Yeah.
sometimes more.
And a conservation easement is in place in order to protect the natural resources. So this was like a voluntary agreement that the landowner went into. So I understand that a lot of things have gone wrong in this area, but like, it's still that easement was created for the natural resources environment. You just need to be sure that there's a perimeter that doesn't keep getting pushed back over time.
oh, right, yep,
Yeah.
that definitely makes sense.
okay. Very good.
There were deer, chased. You know, just staying there. There is active wildlife there. It's a nice little
Okay.
environment.
Okay. Any questions, any further questions? No.
Great, thanks, Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
So just briefly, can I,
Wherever you want. If you feel comfortable coming up here, please feel free. If you want to, you got the booming voice anyways.
my
come on.
back decided last Friday that it's tired of going to hearings. Plaguing me. I've
Oh,
never had
come on,
back-
we're fun, Joel.
I've never had back issues in my life, but like the last 5 days have been interesting. First of all, my name is Joel Green. I represent the Sasquatch Association in Southport Woods together. And the first thing I want to do is echo my comments from the last time. We appreciate your efforts as someone active in the community and trying to
Right.
do this site. And we support the restorative and cleanup effort. As I had indicated at the last hearing, my client's only concern is that this open space creates this buffer between the condominium and I-95. Sasquatch recognizes its value as a little green space in the community. So I think we really communicated well. And so we support the effort. Our concern originally was that this not be cleared in any way or thinned out in any way, or any activity that would affect sort of this being a robust buffer for the neighborhood. So we're basically here to support Kelly in her efforts, and I appreciate all the questions that the commission has asked, that you've gotten involved with this. So
Very kind words.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say, I think it shows the homework that you've done. When you came last time to where you are now, you went, if there's a 1 through 10 things you got to do, you got to 7. I think you're like almost there. Now, the next step might be a little bit more monetarily focused, unfortunately for you, because I think once we see a plan or a map or a drawing, it'll be much more comfortable for us to say, oh, I understand what you're doing. Or at least we see that perimeter is gonna be, maybe 2 feet wide and it's gonna have to stay there. Because everybody wants what's in the middle of all that. Okay? That's my comments. Any other comments?
Yeah, defining a perimeter.
Yeah.
is- I think that's really
Yeah.
critical to even start in
Right.
terms of my understanding of.
And Commissioner O'Mahony's, maybe a planting plan, even if it's rudimentary to begin with, at least it gives us an idea of what's gonna go there, Obviously, natives would be the best.
If I may,
Yeah.
maybe it makes sense to notify the other owners in the HOA that they have to advise their landscapers
Well,
that, I mean, I
yeah,
think proactively advise,
Yeah.
yeah. Advise their landscapers if they're doing it.
yeah, who knows, but yeah, but,
Okay.
so this is in front of us as a request to approve, or what is it in front of us
I think
as?
it was just as an update.
As an update, okay, if it's as an update, that's much better, so we can continue it, get back out there, and I think you're getting very close, at least that's my opinion, I don't know how my commissioners feel, I think, you're getting very close, and I think now it's just gonna be a plan, and as we said, the perimeter is important, and, a planting plan.
Yeah, I would just like to say that this is more of what I'd like to see in meetings like this.
I know.
You're absolutely right. Usually we see someone that wants to encroach on something for their own personal benefit.
Yeah.
But you parties are really trying to improve something for the sake of everyone, so
That's very.
thank you very
good.
much.
Yeah,
It's
thank you
wonderful.
Thank you.
And working together, both, as council and, very good.
Good undergraduate degree of stuff there, Joel.
Smart.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank
Thank you
you,
so much.
thank you.
It helped you to have this language.
Yes,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so now we're on to bills and communications. Do we have anything? Nope.
Okay.
It doesn't look like there's anything for legal or enforcement. Then we have a staff report, report from the Conservation Department about the photo contest. You can.
We've seen it.
Yeah, we-
You guys might have
we've
seen
it,
that
Yeah,
in Fred
Don't forget.
Weekly newsletter.
Yep.
We've been getting some good submissions in.
very good.
And I'd say encourage people
Yeah.
to keep sending them in.
I didn't realize it was going that late. The draw is in December or,
Yeah, we were thinking so we can get a range of seasons.
oh, okay.
Um,
Good to get summer,
Yeah,
fall.
so that way it wasn't all
winter,
just summer
summer.
papers.
Oh, that's very good. I didn't realize that. That's smart.
So, what advice do you have so I can ensure? I mean, I'm talking in terms of when, I want to know this, when, now in December. I mean, there's a science to the, how you look.
Excellent.
Because if you tell me out loud, everybody's gonna know.
Yeah. Little sidebar, right? All right, and then we have site walks. Those are, I saw the agenda already. It's set for next week. Hopefully you can make it. I thought I printed it out. I didn't, it's in our, I know we got the emails. It's 3 properties, starts at 6:30 and, I'm sorry, I don't have that agenda with me. I thought I had it, but it is
That's
for
all right,
next Wednesday. The agenda has been emailed. If you guys don't have it, reach out and they'll email it
And
in.
that's in preparation for the inland wetland.
Yeah, right. And obviously if you can't make it, try to see if you can do it on your own, if you can't make it that particular day. I think Peter and I have a good record and Kate's starting.
I take a lot of
and Amanda-
pictures.
Yeah. And Amanda's come to a few of them, so it's pretty good. I like to see that.
They're really helpful.
Yeah, they really are. And you see some parts of town that you might not be, familiar with.
Yeah.
There was this one place we went to,
With
it was
like,
the park. I'm like, where's this? I never saw that before.
Beautiful place. Yeah.
All right, great. Now for other, I've been trying to do this for a couple of meetings. I'm going to do it tonight. I want to welcome Teresa Domnauer, who's the new hire at the town. Everybody, please, wonderful, welcome, wonderful.
We're so happy. to
And
have her.
yeah, so, I guess that's it. Any commissioners, anything else? Nope. And then, you know what? We'll just adjourn. No motion. We're done.
Thank you.
Okay.